Hello everyone and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you 5 of my best tips for Saturday's racing. Now some of you might be wondering, why have I uploaded this video slightly earlier than normal? Well, I did make it clear in my video last night that unfortunately I am going away this weekend and I'm actually leaving this evening. I'm leaving in the middle of the afternoon, so I don't have time to do a video later on Friday night, so apologies for that. And the prices that I'm given are just after 11:30 on Friday morning, and the majority of these races already had markets formed because they will be shown on ITV Racing. The only selection that might be out of line with maybe some other bookmakers will be my NAP, and I'll explain a little bit more later on. That's because that particular race isn't going to be shown on ITV, and the price was available at the time of recording with William Hill that had priced up that race. So yeah, apologies if maybe, like I said, some of these prices you might not be able to get them. They might be smaller, they might be bigger, they might be a bit out of line, but these are the prices that were currently available just after 11:30 on Friday morning. So without further ado, let's get into the tips, and fingers crossed we can have another successful day. It's been a good week so far this week, and we've been in great form in September. We've had lots of winning naps, and hopefully we can continue it with our selections on Saturday. So without further ado, let's get stuck into them. Now the first tip tomorrow is going to be one of my extra selections, which runs in the 2:30 at Ayr in the silver cup there. Now the horse I'm going with here, it's not going to take a genius to find this one, and that's Kingsland for Oisin Murphy and Andrew Balding in the colours of Her Majesty the Queen. I'm only going to recommend a win bet here because I do think it is a good thing in this handicap. You can currently back it at 4-1, and I think the connections really are slightly disappointed that this horse isn't going to be taking his chance in the Ayr Gold Cup. They probably thought they might be able to get in off a nice low racing weight. However, I still think he's got a good chance in this race, and like I said, I think he is a good thing. Now, he's only run 3 times in his career so far, but he has achieved a lot, and a lot of his form does stack up. So even though he is off a mark of 94, and for some people that might be quite high, I do think he could be a 100 rated plus horse. Now, last season, his career high saw him win the valuable sales race at Doncaster at the St Leger meeting, and that form's worked out not too badly because the second place horse is a horse called Rapati from that race for Kevin Ryan, who's now rated in the low 100s, and also as well the third place horse that day was Taurus Strike for Richard Fahy, who's gone on to do some good things since we saw him finish second in a Group 3 at Goodwood on the bank holiday meeting last month. So his form has really stacked up from his juvenile days, and then on his last start we saw him finishing second at Doncaster behind Starman, who's gone on to win a listed race at York, beating Dakota Gold, who's no mug over the sprint distances. And you take all the form into the bargain, a 94 looks a very workable mark. Now, Oisin Murphy and Andrew Balding, they actually teamed up together to have one of Oisin's first bigger successes when he actually won the Ayr Gold Cup a few years ago. You might have seen the pic of Oisin on social media with some good looking girls. He looks like he's a teenager and he's pulled on a night out. It's quite funny actually, the pictures, but yeah, it's a meeting that they like to do well at. And if you actually look at the horse tomorrow and how the race might be run, he's going to be drawn in stall 6, which shouldn't be too much of an issue. I always think you want to be towards one of the rails, either the far side or the stand side. I think sometimes if you're in the middle it can be quite tricky, but I think the draw isn't a negative at all. And I just think, like I said, I think he's a good thing in a handicap. He gets a 3-year-old allowance. I think he's got plenty more to come off his mark of 94. And I just think tomorrow at the prices, he's not really an each way bet. I'd rather back him as a win only. Like I said, I think he could either bolt up or blow out. But yeah, 4-1, I think he's got a good chance there. And I think he is a good thing in the handicap, and he's the group horse. So you're not original, but I'm going to recommend a win only bet in the 2:30 there at Ayr for Kingsland. We then go in the 3:05 for the Firth of Clyde Stakes, an interesting looking race, but I thought Satanic Girl here could be a big price. She's going to be my long shot for tomorrow, and you can currently back her at 22-1 each way for Tom Eves and James Given. Now this horse was conveniently 22-1 on debut when winning at Ripon, and beat a fair yardstick in Charlie Fellows that day. That's not Charlie Fellows the trainer, that's Charlie Fellows the horse, and he had some good form in the bag already, which has worked out not too badly. A lot of his juvenile form does stack up, but Satanic Girl, I thought she was really impressive. If you go back and watch the race replay, which I would urge anyone to do, she looked like she was probably going to struggle and finish in the midfield if you actually look at the race, and you even get that impression when she's in the last furlong, but it's only in the last half a furlong or so where she showed a real turn of gear and a good attitude, and she hit the line very strongly, and she was an impressive winner in the end to win by 1 3/4 of a length. So she did the job very well that day, and I think she's only going to improve. I remember James Gibbons said afterwards that he thought that she would learn plenty for that run and would be a lot more streetwise next time. And she's also as well in the colours of the Cool Silk partnership, who always seem to have 1 or 2 good 2-year-olds every year. And I just think the way that this horse hit the line last time suggests that she's going to come plenty forward for that run. And a 22-1 in a race where you think that, yeah, anything could really happen. Some of the horses at the top of the market, we know where they stand, but I'd rather want to take a bit of a flyer on in a race like this on a horse like Satanic Girl. And I think that the better ground at Ayr will definitely suit her. That was on soft ground at Ripon. It's drying out all the time. I imagine it'll probably be at least good ground come tomorrow. We obviously got a meeting there today. No rain is forecast at Ayr, and I think the conditions will be perfect, so no excuses. I think Sentantii Girl could be a bit of an outsider here at 22-1, and I'm quite keen on her chances. So that's going to be my long shot for tomorrow. We then go to my next best, which runs in the 325 at Newbury, my only tip there tomorrow, and we go to the Group 2 Mill Reef here. And it's no surprise to some of you, if you've already heard the podcast, I'm going to be putting up 5,000-1. I'm really sweet on his chances tomorrow. I really do think he could be the real deal. He's going to be ridden tomorrow by Sylvester de Souza, who's riding for Andrew Bolden in the colours of the King Power Group. Now, they obviously named this horse after 5,000-1 with the story of Leicester City winning the Premier League a few years ago, now at odds of 5,000-1. So that's why they've named this horse. And you can currently back him at 9-4, not 5,000-1, unfortunately. But this horse, you know, he's shown bags of potential. He was well punted off the boards on debut at Windsor when he was 5-6 odds on favourite, and he just bumped into Bahrain Parade that day of Simon and Ed Crisford's. Now that horse did go on to win at Ripon, but I think 5,000-1 was the one to take out the race. He was very inexperienced, or you could tell he was very inexperienced. You know, he was ducking a lot. He was all round the track, you know, and was very green. But next time out at Newcastle, even though he probably didn't beat that much, it was much more like it, you know, and you could tell that this definitely looked a group horse in the making. Sylvester didn't have to even ask him for an effort that day. Sorry about the sneeze there. Sylvester didn't have to ask him that day at Newbury. You know, he was very professional, and in the end won on the bridle as comfortable as you like. And I just thought that performance oozed class. And I think the thing tomorrow that will also help 5,000-1 is the better ground. I don't think he was so keen on the soft ground at Newbury. And Bahrain Pride, even though he is going to be clashing tomorrow and they are going to be reopposing, and did go on to win that listed race at Ripon, I think soft ground is the key to him, and I think maybe quicker ground might find him out. I expect it to be on the quick side of good tomorrow at Newbury, and I think at 9-4, if you can still get that price, is a fair price. The danger for me will be River Master, you know, who does set the form, but I would maybe have the ground against him slightly. He's shown his best form so far with a little bit of cut in the ground. Okay, he is yet to race on it, but that's just my prediction, that if you actually look at his stride and the way he travels over the ground, I think he'll be better on a soft surface. So for me, 5,000-1 is the one that I think will come forward a lot more tomorrow and will show what he's made of. And at 9-4, I'm really sweet on his chances tomorrow. So that's why he's going to be my next best. We then go my selection, which is an extra tip in the Ayr Gold Cup in the 340. And I'm quite keen here on the chance of Wise Counsel to run a very good race. You can currently back him at 12-1 each way with 7 places on offer with Sky Bet. I think that's very generous of them there. And if you want the extra places, I would say that is definitely the place to go. And this horse is trained by Clive Cox, and Daniel Tudhope is booked for the ride tomorrow. He's one of the retained riders for the Clipper Logistics Group. Now this horse I thought was very eye-catching at Ascot last time out when he finished in 8th place. And if you actually were watching the racing that day, you would have been wise to note that many of the horses that were running weren't coming from off the pace at all. You had to be quite prominent, and to be honest with you, it looked like a prep run for a better target. And I think at the Ayr Gold Cup is a race that they've always had in mind, and is definitely one that this horse has been laid out for. If you actually go back through his form, he was actually a winner on this card last year at this meeting, over 7 furlongs for connections, and I just think tomorrow the race could be set up very nicely to suit. Now he is going back in trip to 6 furlongs, but there's going to be plenty of pace on around him. You know, there'll be the likes of Major Jumbo's a horse that likes to get forward, Bungee Jump, these kind of horses. I think they'll be going hard very early on. He's going to probably head towards the stand side. He's drawn in stall 18, you know, and if there is plenty of pace on that stand side, you know, I think he's got a good chance. Also as well, if you go back through some of his juvenile form, he actually beat Angel Alexander as a 2-year-old who was the winner of this race last year, you know. So he ticks a lot of boxes for me. He's got the course form. He's had a recent prep run. He normally comes on as well, actually, after he's had a run. You normally want to catch him on his second run after a break. So that's definitely another positive for me. Clive Cox does well with his sprinters. And I just think there's a lot of things in his favour tomorrow, and he's impossible to rule out, as it is with many of them. But I just think there wasn't a standout candidate for me in this race this year. And with lots of things in the favour of Wise Counsel, I just think a 12 to 1, I think he's definitely got a good chance of going very close. And with 7 places on offer, I would be disappointed if he wasn't there or thereabouts come the winning line churn and making a challenge. So that's going to be the tip there. We then go to the nap. Now this is the one I said that you might not be able to get the price on, or I could only get a price from one bookmaker, so I'm going to take it. That is 7 to 4 for Ocean Wind in the Cesarovich 3:15 Newmarket trial. And Ocean Wind, I've been banging on about this horse for the last month or so, that I do think he is a lively Cesarovich candidate. And before the race tomorrow, at the current time of recording, you actually back him in the anti-post markets for the Cesarovich handicap next month at 14 to 1. He's going to be ridden by Jack Mitchell, who's riding for Roger Till. And Roger Till, he seems to be a maestro trainer, really underappreciated. Obviously, he is now a Group 1 winning trainer with Oxted, but he can do it over sprint distances and also as well with his stayers. And this Ocean Wind has a lot of back class, was a winner of a listed bumper that always provides a lot of good national hunt horses at Newbury. I actually backed him that day. I remember seeing him in the paddock and he looked lovely. And he absolutely blitzed the field that day. But I think the key to him is good ground. And ever since that day, I always thought that he would have a good, or he should be tried at least on the flat. And he finished 6th in the champion bumper as well at Cheltenham, where the ground was against him. That was soft ground that day. And Roger Till holds the same opinion that I do, that he probably would have run. He would have run an even better race if the ground had been a little bit quicker and hadn't been so testing. But this season, he has been tried a couple of times on the flat. They wanted to get him handicapped, see where he stood, and he's been rated 89. And he's finished 3rd on his first start at Lingfield on the all-weather. Then he went to Lingfield on the turf, and he beat a fair yardstick in John Locke, who has boosted that form to win at Goodwood. And John Locke had some nice form behind a horse of John Gosden's called Faisal, which has been boosted since, and that piece of form is really strong. So John Locke, like I say in there, is a fair yardstick, and I just think going up in trip tomorrow would definitely suit Ocean Wind. When he beat John Locke, that was over 1.5 miles, and I think Jack Mitchell gave him a great ride. He went early to try and get him in a forward position, you know, and he knew that he probably would beat John Locke through his stamina, but that was over an inadequate trip. And going up to 2 miles, 2 tomorrow, I think will definitely suit him. The drying out ground at Newmarket will suit him as well. I just think there's so much in this horse's favour tomorrow, and he probably won't want to win by too much, but I do think he could be a cup horse in the making, and we're yet to see the best of him on the flat. And I think tomorrow it all clicked together, and we will definitely see what we're dealing with here. An Ocean Wind for me, we put him up last time at Lingfield as an next best. I think he is a good thing in this handicap tomorrow, and 89 is definitely a very workable mark. So for me, he's going to be my nap tomorrow, and fingers crossed he can get the job done. So I'll quickly go through those tips. In the 2:30 Ayr, we go with Kingsland. You can currently back him at 4 to 1, win only bet. Satanic Girl on the 305 is my long shot, 22 to 1 each way. The next best is in the 325 at Newbury, 5,000 to 1, 9 to 4, win only. In the 340 Ayr, I should say, for the Ayr Gold Cup, we go with my other extra tip, which is Wise Counsel, 12 to 1 each way, 7 places Sky Bet, and my nap runs in the 350 at Newmarket with Ocean Wind, where we go for Jack Mitchell and Roger Till, 7 to 1. Win only bet. So that's what I've got to say about that. So if you haven't done so already, please make sure you subscribe here to my YouTube channel at LuckyLoaders15. Also as well, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do, where my handle is at LuckyLoaders15. Also as well, there'll be a video if you're starved of content for the next couple of days on how to find winners. I did a video the other day. If you haven't seen it already, I'll leave a description, or I'll leave a link to it in the description box below, which you can watch throughout the weekend. And also as well, my next video, I should mention, will probably be uploaded on Sunday evening, previewing Monday's racing. So there's a lot to take in there, but I hope I've explained it to you there. And if you want to check out my website as well, you can do, which is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. So please gamble responsibly. Hopefully we can have a good day on Saturday, and we'll be seeing you soon.